Deb from SAC in the
Hey,
comments says, "Boys be tardy for the party."
yep.
Yes, we are a little bit. And she says that Blake asked him to stop primping with his new hairdo. I actually called him Bo Derek at the beginning of the show because he got out of the shower, hair slicked back, just kind of had the
Nobody gets the reference. It's a blonde model from the 80s who's wearing like big braids on the beach.
hair's
I
a
don't
hot,
I don't
it's a
get it.
hot topic
That's where your
in this
mind is
chat
at.
room.
I don't get it, but yeah, that's fine.
It's a big topic in the chat room. Hello, everybody. This is
Yeah.
Brian Engelman. This guy here with the Sheen. His name is not Sheen, not Charlie, not Martin. His name is Blake Walley, otherwise known as Blake the Eccentric, also known as TV's Blake Walley. You can check him out on Twitter, known as X, also known as X. This is all about having pseudonyms today. Pseudonyms, antonyms, also known as. I know antonym is not the right phrase or pseudonym. Anyway, pseudonym is. He's on Twitter, X, at TV's Blake Walley. He's also at thenextlevelnews.com. Today is Tuesday, November 14, 2023. This is the Agree to Disagree show on the new American media because the old American media has failed you. Well, have they failed you? Hello, MJ Sedona. Welcome in the chat room. Everybody, leave your comments. We like to incorporate your chitter chatter, the pitter patter of little comments into our program, of course. But yeah, has media failed you, or is it exactly what it always has been? It's been propaganda, at least in the United States, for many, many decades, going back to what? The 30s, 40s? With the CIA, with the FBI, later years with the NSA, and just, go into your random alphabet agency generator, pull out a few letters, throw them up at a board. That agency has probably been lying to you. They've been pushing a certain agenda because of certain interests, because of certain funding, because of certain three-dimensional games of chess that they're trying to play on a global stage. Well, let's remove this despotic leader. Let's install a puppet government here. Let's assassinate this guy. Let's go ahead and push this narrative here. Let's rile people up and cause chaos amongst the streets of American cities across our wonderful land from sea to sea. From the sea to the sea, they chant. Hamas does. They say from the sea to the sea. No, that's from the river to the sea. But from the sea to the sea, the Pacific to the Atlantic, America burned in 2020 because, well, there was an agenda that was being pushed. Yes, there was one incident with one guy, and yes, it sparked rage everywhere. Yet, we see similar stories that should cause an equal, if not more, astonishing and frustrating and what's the phrase I'm looking for? It should cause outrage. But then it just kind of seems like some of these stories get buried. You never really get to hear about them. And then maybe you do a little bit, but it never rises to the level of some of these other stories. And it makes you wonder why. Why do we pick the stories that we do to focus on? Why do we ignore other stories? Why do we only push certain narratives? And why do we just ignore the facts and the reality that's hitting you in the face every single day? So today's topic of I don't know, I guess today's titled topic of the show is why won't Congress impeach Mayorkas and Biden? Okay, fine. That will be something that we will discuss. But really, one of the biggest frustrating, angering, enraging stories is the second story. I wanted to lead with it. We'll get to it in a second, but here's what we're going to get into. We're going to talk about Mayorkas
Oh,
and
looks like
Biden. Why
there
in
we
the
go.
world won't they get impeached? We're going to talk about the 15 high school kids that killed a student. What should be done with them? We're going to talk about government surveillance. Don't we need more of that? Yes or no? Agree or disagree? We're going to talk about our streets. If they can do this for Xi, why can't they do it for thee? What in the actual F? Okay, we're going to talk about San Francisco and Gavin Newsom, and we're going to talk about China. China. Who really is the boss of America these days? By the way, we never covered the Fang Fang story, did we, Blake?
I don't know if that's real. That's been, yeah, I don't. That link that you sent from that guy, I forget who sent it, removed the tweet. So
Hmm.
I'm not 100% if that's true or not. I think that's also been reported a couple other times.
Okay, we'll take a
So,
look into that,
yeah.
perhaps. We're also going to talk about it's the news outlet that cannot avoid controversy. They are just a bunch of bickering teenagers, it seems like. They have some people that you like, and they just got constant friggin' drama. It's like Pigpen and like the squiggle lines. It follows them around. Well, maybe it's certain people. It happens to Alex. It happens to Crowder. It happens to Benny Boy, as you like to call him, little Benny Boy, you like to call him. It definitely happens to Candace. It's just the squiggle lines.
Went back.
Wherever they go, they have the squiggle lines of just seventh grade recess or seventh grade lunchroom drama and just bickering. We're going to talk about Candace Owens. Is she being disgraceful? We shall talk about it. Also, we're going to talk about comic Bill Burr. What's going on with him? I don't know if you saw that over the weekend, but there was a cadre, there was a gathering of influential figures who participated in, I guess not participated. They didn't jump into the octagon, but they attended a not a WWE,
UFC event.
Thank you, UFC. I'm thinking WWE. They attended a UFC event, and Bill Burr's wife was there, and we're going to talk about how she made headlines. Out of all the things going on, we're focused on her. Maybe we're just addicted to drama. That could be what's going on here. Maybe today's topic, Blake, in post-production, retitling it, should be Americans Addicted to Drama. Agree or disagree? But we're also going to talk about other things, I suppose. Anyway, I guess let's just jump into today's program, I suppose. How about that, Blake? We'll get into today's show.
Fair enough. Whatever Brian's headline is, yes, but we're prepared to hit them all.
Absolutely.
All right.
All right. Special thanks to Ted Distel from Digital Stoke Media, who helped create that new intro for the new American media, because it really is a time to put up your American flag upside down and just alert the world that we are a nation in distress. We are in trouble. SOS, Mayday, Mayday. Good Lord, we are in it right now. I want to know, Blake, the 8 Republicans who stopped the impeachment of Alejandro Mayorkas, were they right to do so? Were they correct? Was that the wise decision? What am I missing here? Illuminate me, please.
Well, there was going to be a bombshell. Marjorie Taylor Greene was announcing that she was going to set up some impeachment for Alejandro Mayorkas, the Department of Homeland Secretary. No, Department of Homeland Security. Yes. The chief there, who has been derelict of duty at the border. We have a massive immigration invasion going on, and he doesn't seem to be doing much about it. But, there's just a slim, the slightest of majority in the House, and the Democrats obviously aren't going to go for it. But surprising that 8 Republicans came across the aisle and also joined them and said, no, we don't want to do this. I don't really understand it, so I'm just going to have to assume that they are compromised. But we'll dig into it. I do have a story here. So Marjorie Taylor Greene now slamming the 8 Republicans for joining Democrats and killing her articles of impeachment against Mayorkas. Recent development expressed her strong criticism towards her colleagues for siding with Democrats. The contentious moment arose during the vote on Greene's resolution to impeach Secretary, of Homeland Security, Alejandro. So the resolution was ultimately diverted from a direct vote to the Homeland Security Committee, effectively stalling the process. The move, proposed by Minority Whip Catherine Clark, supported by 8 Republicans, prompting fierce criticism. And we have Ken Buck, Darrell Issa, who I'm surprised. I thought he was a decent man, but I maybe not. I don't know who Tom McClintock is.
No, McClintock, he's very well known.
Ah, okay. I was not. Well, you're in California, or we used to be. Patrick McHenry, of course, the neocon for McCarthy. And then we got John Duarte, Virginia Fox, Cliff Bentz, and Mike Turner. But I'm really only familiar with Issa and McHenry. So, in the aftermath of the vote, Congressman Greene lashed out in a vehement response, expressing disbelief at her colleagues' decision to redirect the impeachment process back to committee. a move which will result in the death of the resolution. She argued the actions of her fellow Republicans undermine the party's position on the border crisis. That's true. And weaken the congressional responsibility to hold government officials accountable. Yes, I 100% agree. I don't think a lot of people don't even understand how bad the invasion is, and they need to know. But we're not going to get to that. We're not going to put that on display for people because it's going to get shut down when, yes, Mayorkas deserves to be interrogated and squirm in front of the American people and be held accountable. We just want a good reason why. So let's see here. What else do we have? We know all the facts. We know the numbers. And we know how bad the invasion is at the border every single day. This is according to MTG. She says, I serve on the Homeland Committee, and we've done hearing after hearing after hearing. As we have reported and talked to eyewitnesses and interviewed people, we have found out how bad it is at the border. Oh, yeah, even Elon Musk has been down the border. Anybody who does go to the border freaks out about how bad it is, except for the border czar, Kamala Harris, VP. I don't know if she's been down there. But that's what they've reported and talked to eyewitnesses and interviewed people. We have found out how bad it is, and yet we still can't get Republicans to impeach Secretary Mayorkas. This is outrageous. So it's crazy. Even Ken Buck, I guess one of the colleagues who was voting out of spite due to his impending retirement, and he still couldn't do something good on the way out the door. And I mean, if there's nothing to hide, then just bring it up. Let the impeachment go, and it gives Mayorkas a chance to explain himself in front of the American people. And we deserve to have that answer. And instead, we're not going to get anything. We're going to let him off the hook again. So it's pretty strange.
It's beyond strange. It's criminal. If there's a reason that they're doing, some of the suggestions are that the powers that be in Congress are suspecting a large drop-off in young people in America, that we will not have replacement numbers to break even, that there's going to be something that is going to harm these kids. There are suggestions that we are so short in the workforce already that we need people to come into this country. And we need workers. Okay, well, if that's the case, make your case. I don't quite understand what's going on here. How in the world could every Democrat support open borders? You're telling me there's not a sane Democrat amongst them? This is the same group in Congress that wants us to have advanced screening measures. We have to take off our shoes at the airport. They want to listen into our conversations. They want to spy on us without due process because of heightened alerts of blah, blah, blah. But then they're just going to let millions of people traipse across the border. Yeah, no worries. Absolutely nothing to worry about there. Yeah, we saw for 7 hours, 1,500 people just get butchered a month ago. Yeah, no reason to worry about millions of people just flooding across the border when we're referred to, the colloquial we, the American we, referred to as the big devil. The little devil, of course, is Israel over there. America is the big devil. Okay, yeah, no problem. No problem. So the 8 people that voted against this, I'm getting tired of saying it. They need to be primaried. They need to be investigated. They need to be charged with treason. How in the world do you say, no, it's not important to remove this Mayorkis character who's clearly subverting the laws of the United States? It's not accidental. This is the policy. This isn't this is a difficult side effect. This is he's trying his best, but there's just things out of our control. The policy is to open and cut holes in existing fencing. The policy is to take the fencing materials that are right there and say, no, it's funded and the materials are here and it's scheduled to be installed. We're going to let it rot and sell it for 5 cents on the dollar. And this is their plan. This isn't accidental. This is exactly what they're going for. And I can't figure out what's playing on my screen right now.
All right.
Can you hear that?
Why don't we run this quick video then and see if it will allow me to. See if the internet will hold up here. From MTG.
That we just had on the House floor. We had 8 Republicans vote with the Democrats to send my articles of impeachment back to committee, where articles of impeachment go to die. They just voted, these 8 Republicans just voted with the Democrats to protect Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas from impeachment, which is absolutely unbelievable. You see, we all know the facts, we know the numbers, and we know how bad the invasion is at the border every single day. I serve on the Homeland Committee, and we've done hearing after hearing after hearing as we have reported and talked to eyewitnesses, interviewed people. We have found out how bad it is at the border, and yet we can't get Republicans to impeach Secretary Mayorkas. This is outrageous. Let's talk about this. We have 4 of these Republicans serve on the Judiciary Committee. Now, the Judiciary Committee is where my articles of impeachment on Secretary Mayorkas have been sitting and collecting dust for months and months and months now without movement. And so there's 4 of these 8 that voted to send it back to the Judiciary Committee, where it will once again collect dust and have no movement to impeach Secretary Mayorkas. This is unbelievable because everyone all over America knows how bad this guy is and that he is willfully breaking our laws and allowing the invasion to happen. Over 300 Americans are dying every single day. And 2 of my constituents were killed last week by a human smuggler trafficking illegal aliens in Texas.
All right. I think I'll stop there. But yes, I don't get it. I'm just going to have to assume that these people are compromised and that they did some dirty, naughty things, and they pull their strings. And yes, it's the culture in DC.
And wasn't that the story of the FBI $300 million new facility, that on the same day that was announced that they also put out a press release saying that they uncovered a high-end brothel, a high-end prostitution ring right near DC. And so the suggestion was that, you better vote for this or else we're going to let everybody know that you're on the client list. Did you happen to catch that story?
I think that story is out there, and that we haven't gotten any names. We probably won't, but that's probably being used to pull on their strings. It's like, oh yeah, they know they did some dirty things. They got it on camera. They got the receipts, and their personal lives are going to be destroyed, and they're going to have to resign in shame, or they can just hide the evidence of all of those things and just, hey, why don't you vote for the new headquarters? Hey, we don't have to display that. Hey, why don't you just go join the Democrats? Don't impeach Mayorkas, and we can make sure that awful story about what you really did in that brothel never sees the light of day, or that you were on, Epstein's flight log and you did God knows what on his little private pleasure island. So, but this is how things work now. Everybody's compromised and blackmailed.
Oh, that was the other story I wanted in the stack about that other creepy guy that just got convicted, the Epstein-esque character. What was his name? I sent the
it was a Don Luker or something.
Good...
There's a few of them. There's too much and there's not enough substance to that, but we could tie that in together with some of this stuff. So, Epstein was notorious for getting people compromised, very powerful people. And that's how it's easy to control people.
Over here on X, James Wood says, how is it possible to have the majority in the House and not impeach the most worthless cabinet member in American history? Speaker Johnson lost all credibility when he whiffed dumping a loser like Secretary Mayorkas, owned by the Democrats, obviously another disappointing rhino. When will the House GOP and Judiciary, Speaker Johnson and Judiciary, get off their corrupt, ignorant, unresponsive asses and defund this corrupt FBI and impeach their idiot director? More important things to do, like Ukraine money laundering. The story that I sent you in the Telegram, but I don't have it here looking for. It was that it came out that Speaker Johnson is not going to be pushing to impeach Biden. But then it did come out that that was misrepresented. Either way, what in the hell are they waiting for? I don't know what the waiting. So here it is out of the Gateway Pundit. The report said that there's insufficient evidence at the moment to begin formal impeachment proceedings against Joe Biden. They impeached Trump over nothing twice. There's plenty of evidence. You look at the border only. You use all of his money laundering that's driven us to the brink of World War III as an ancillary reason. Get them for dereliction of duty and treason. They have a duty to secure that border, and they're intentionally cutting it open, destroying and selling off all of the iron, all of the steel, all of the beams, all of the supplies, all the supports, all the concrete. They're selling it off. They are intentionally destroying the United States of America. Get them on treason and charge them immediately. House Speaker, the report out of the Gateway Pundit, insufficient evidence at the moment to begin formal impeachment. Blake, what else do they need, and how bad is this Mike Johnson, if this report is true? Because I've heard contradictory information on that maybe it was misreported. But if this is true, how friggin' worthless is the new boss, same as the old boss, Speaker Mike Johnson?
Well, yeah, he would be the same. It would be a big disappointment to get rid of McCarthy and replace him with Mike Johnson, who, if he's not going to do anything. But yes, you sent me this as well, Brian, that this might just be a rumor. So I don't know. That was an awful story that broke on Friday. Yes, that he wasn't going to impeach. There wasn't sufficient evidence. But now we get another report from DC Drano saying Speaker Johnson confirming internally that he never said he wouldn't move forward with the Biden impeachment. The rumor was put out by McCarthy proxies trying to weaken him. Speaker Johnson is likely putting out a statement early this week. Well, it's early this week. It's Tuesday now, clarifying his position that he is pro-Biden impeachment. So we shall see. He wants the investigation by Comer and Jordan to continue playing out and producing more evidence. It's not a question of if, only a question of when. So we shall see. Certainly hope so. There is a mountain of evidence to impeach Biden with, and to start sending out subpoenas to the members of the Biden family, and finding out that there's paper trails and banks and lots of money being sent around. They certainly have something to go after, and they should. And they should also go after Mayorkis, and that's a disappointment. But yes, this is where Mike Johnson can gain a lot of brownie points with the public and do his job. And this is what we wanted when we got rid of McCarthy, and also many other things. But this would be a good start by impeaching the Biden family. This needs to go down, and the people of the country need to see this happen. They need to see the evidence, and that'll gain support. But
also talking about the Biden family, another story that came up over the weekend was that a Biden grandkid, I believe this is one of the grandkids that has been accused of participating in the alleged money laundering, had their car broken into, a Secret Service vehicle broken into right around DC, and the Secret Service started firing shots at the three people trying to steal the vehicle, Blake. I mean, number one, this speaks to just how out of control these Soros-funded district attorneys. It speaks to the damage to our cities and how unsafe it is to be in any major blue city in the country right now. And number two, it raises a super interesting question. Now, wait a damn minute. You're going to go after Kyle Rittenhouse for defending his life being attacked by multiple pedos, but you're going to say and they're also going to say it's wrong
to have guns, right? That's the Biden thing. The Obama-Biden push is, yeah, we need to disarm the American people. And they say, oh, yeah, police will handle everything. But then they also say you're not supposed to use your firearms in self-defense if you do have firearms, which we don't want you to have. But if you do, you're certainly not to do what Joe Biden said, is shoot them out the back door to scare them off. You're just going to shoot indiscriminately out your back door. But then the Secret Service in a property crime are going to just start unleashing live rounds in the streets near D.C. I don't know what to make of this story. It's beyond bizarre on every damn level. Do you have any thoughts on that one? Because that was another one that was in the stack we didn't particularly plan on covering, but we brought up the Biden crime family. It feels like it's a good time to maybe wedge that one in there and mention it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a double standard that, one of the members of the Biden family, they're all protected by the Secret Service, who are ready to start shooting when somebody's in trouble, but then RFK Jr. Gets no Secret Service protection, even though his father and his uncle were both assassinated in political hit jobs. So it seems like they want him to die. They want him to be defenseless so that they can take him out. He's a direct threat to the DNC.
And we're like 8 days away from the anniversary of the CIA executing John Kennedy in front of us.
Yeah.
About just a week from that horrible anniversary of when the deep state said, we'll do whatever it takes to just fund the military industrial complex and get us involved in some stupid foreign war in I'm looking at my map and I'm seeing Indonesia, Vietnam, with Johnson in office. Another story that I probably had in the stack, I can't keep track of all this stuff, but one of the stories going around is that Iran is going to try to assassinate U.S. officials, including Trump, as payback. And you've heard the saber rattlings of war that they want to go after Iran, who's funding Hamas, with the attack in Israel. So you go, oh, okay, so this is what it is. The deep state can get 2 for 1. They can finally get that war with Iran that they've been jerking off to for the past 20, 30 years since Bush Jr. Was in office. And Wesley Clark was talking about all the countries that they plan to invade. And it's all laid out in advance. It's all a roadmap. It's all a plan. It's not accidental or circumstantial or, wow, we're just rolling with it. We randomly got attacked today. Yeah, half the time they're doing it to themselves at the Gulf of Tonkin. You could go down the laundry list of incidents there. But that's the news story, Blake, that Iran is going to assassinate Trump, which is going to drag us. It'll finally get MAGA involved in wanting, since MAGA has been so against the Ukrainian money laundering at a time where Moody's just downgraded the American debt. They put up the American debt for sale. Nobody wanted to buy it. The BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, they don't want to buy the debt, so they have to keep increasing the yield because it's risky. So Americans, the MAGA people, are like, no, we need to pay our debt down. We need to stop spending so much damn money. This is insane. It's like you're intentionally destroying this country. But they're like, well, MAGA's not interested in World War III, even though we blew up the Keystone Pipeline. I'm sorry, the XL, what was the pipeline that they blamed on Russia last year?
Nord Stream.
Thank you. I called it Keystone. Nord Stream pipeline. Oh, well, yeah, Putin did that to himself. No, he didn't. That's the dumbest false flag I've ever seen. I don't know who greenlit that one. It didn't make sense from the beginning, but, well, the Republicans and the MAGA people especially, they're against it. Yeah, maybe the rhinos, they're kind of for it because they'll get paid off.
Yeah, well, they control their hacks.
How do we get MAGA involved in World War III? Okay, let's have something massive happen in Israel, and then let's maybe execute Trump and blame Iran for it, Blake. I mean, on the anniversary coming up in about a week of JFK getting offed to further their bullshit plans, they're actually saber rattling that they're going to kill Trump and frame Iran for it. What do we say to that?
I haven't heard that, so all I can do is hope that it doesn't happen, because that would be catastrophic for everybody. Catastrophic for 8 billion people or whoever is left here on this planet. Because if America gets involved, Iran, that's going to be nuclear weapons, and that's could be really bad news. So let's hope that does not happen. That would be a very foolish move. I'm not aware of that. I don't know where you got that, but it's probably credible. So who knows?
Yeah. Well, anyway, we'll just keep that on the back burner, I suppose. Man, there was a lot of damn stories wedged into that first segment, wasn't it? But at the end of the day, we got 8 Republicans who were just going along with the plan. I don't know how in the world you don't see this as the easiest vote in the world. I don't know how you could possibly say, no, Mayorkas, he's doing a bang-up job. Let's give him some more time. He's had 3 years to destroy the country. Give him more. I don't get it. For the life of me, I don't get it. So, anyway, that's that. Any final thoughts on that story, Blake? Is Blake still there or is he frozen? I think he's frozen. Follow him at TV's Blake Walley on X, Twitter. Check him out at thenextlevelnews.com. Yes, do that. Also, the New American Media. Yeah, you can check out thenewamericanmedia.com, but I need your subscriptions. Podcast. If you get podcasts on Spotify, please, pause the show or just open up another tab or pull out your phone. Go to Spotify, find the Agree to Disagree show on Spotify and click subscribe. We need subscriptions there because we're growing that. We also need subscriptions on Rumble. I think we had one of our higher rated shows on Rumble the other day with the Vivek third debate show. So follow us on Rumble. It's our backup to Odyssey, ODYSEE.com. Odyssey is a mirror to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/The New American Media. Subscribe to us there. On X, we're at American_media_. On Truth, we're The New American Media. On Telegram, go on Telegram. Telegram's a great backup channel. We're TNAM for The New American Media, TNAM. So we're at TNAM and TNAM Chat over on Telegram. We're also on Signal. Follow us there. So do all of the things. Follow us in all of the places, please. A couple of comments here, just as they were coming through. I don't know how much Blake was able to put on the screen when we were talking, but Jocelyn says they want all those tens of millions of third world future Democrat voters here if it kills you. Republicans can't even impeach a guy responsible for millions of illegal aliens crossing the border. This party has become trash. Well, this party has always been trash. How about that? And I really think that the Republicans are going to try to jettison Trump if they can't assassinate him. Yes, Tucker said it. Tucker brought it up. It's not just me. The Kennedy anniversary is coming up here. Jocelyn adds, we're seeing all kinds of new crime here in tiny Sedona, Arizona. Never had to lock our doors. Now we have cameras throughout and motion sensors. Yes, and also have some boomsticks and know how to use them, get some practice. Brought to you by Department of Homeland Suicide. No shit. Jocelyn saying, so right on, Blake. Chaos is their plan. They achieved it. We have to start asking questions like who is funding them? Who is blackmailing them? You don't turn your back on your country and constituents because of verbiage and wording. She adds, yeah, Brian, I'm sure they were compensated in some way. Yeah, sold out, what have you, bribed or blackmailed. Ghost Picker says Zelensky just publicly begged for Trump to come to Ukraine and make peace. Climax coming. Well, yeah, that's of course why they're saying Iran's going to kill him now, because they can't have that. Yeah, Trump said I can have peace in 24 hours. And Zelensky goes, what is your plan? And he's like, no, I'm not telling you my plan. Put me in office and we'll stop this. He's like, no, really, can you please? Because they've sent all of their youngsters over there. You know, why don't we send all these illegal aliens to Ukraine? They seem to need a bunch of young people, right? Like the average age of the human cannon fodder that they were sacrificing to their god of blackmail. What was it? The average fighting age is 36 or 46 or 66 or 106 or
it was at least 43, I think, maybe even higher. Yeah, but that's astounding. That's a very high age for a soldier.
So we have a plan then. So so which one of these makes more sense, Blake? You said they're super young. They're like teenagers. All the Ukrainians.
The average age of the Gaza people, yeah, it's like 18. It's like really extraordinarily low. Yeah, it's weird.
And it's an open air prison and nobody wants to be there. Maybe they should all go to Ukraine then, because they need youthful people. It would solve two problems: the demographic emptiness of Ukraine, because they sacrificed all these people and blew them up, and nobody wants to live in an open air prison with the little devil Israel over there. Maybe all the Palestinians should just go to Ukraine, or the illegal aliens who are flooding across the border, millions of them, should go to Ukraine because they're all military age fighting men. That seems to me
Why
like
should
the
anyone
answer.
go to Ukraine and fight in that war so that Ukraine can hold on to the eastern and southern regions of Ukraine where those people want to be Russian?
Well, no,
That
they
doesn't
should
make
stop
any
the war,
sense.
but then they need to replace their demographic. I'm conflating. I'm putting a few stories together here going, well, they have no young people anymore. Gaza, nobody wants to be there. It's an open air prison. It's apartheid. It's evil. It's terrible. It's hell on earth. Okay, well, Ukraine needs to repopulate their people now. And Ukrainian women are gorgeous in general. So maybe that would work. Maybe all of the people who are self-deporting from the United States could go over to Ukraine. I don't know. I'm just off the top of my head, Blake. I'm just off the top of my head.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't like any of those ideas, Brian. I think you're
I think they're great ideas. It solves two problems at once.
no, because that shouldn't
maybe.
be our problem to begin with. None of that stuff is our problem, and it's not those people's problems that are young that are in Gaza that had nothing to do with their situation. They're just trying to exist, and it's their land too. So anyway, I don't
All right.
know
So
about
on this
mixing all of that
illegal
stuff.
alien. On this illegal alien story, this is the story I was trying to get to here, and it kept glitching when I was loading it. Still appears to be glitching, but this is interesting. This is on Fox News. It says Chicago migrants are returning to Venezuela ahead of winter, saying there's nothing for us here. The Illinois city has seen more than 9,000 illegal aliens in August 2022. Yeah, I don't know why I've got. There we go. Got rid of that big banner. So Chicago migrants are beginning to move back to Venezuela as the city runs out of resources to house and support illegal aliens. The Chicago Tribune reported of the account of Michael Castellon, who migrated with his wife and stepdaughter from Venezuela to find a better life. However, after several months, the family suffered from homelessness, a lack of job opportunities, and no access to better education. By early November, they'd requested back to their home country. Quote, the American dream doesn't exist anymore, Castellon said. There's nothing here for us. And I would say to Castellon, overthrown in a coup. We're being led by globalists who nobody wants. All of the policies are backward. We're fighting our own battles here because they're intentionally just. It's as if Ohio State directly hired the cheater Jim Harbaugh from that team up north to run our program into the ground. So sorry, Mr. Castellon. We have our own problems here, I'm adding. The report suggested that Castellon, and these pictures here, suggested that Castellon was not the only migrant who felt this way. As the city grows colder, many are requesting tickets back to other cities or even other countries to avoid sleeping on the streets during the winter. I mean, these people are packed into just conditions. How many more months of living in the streets will it take? No more. It's better that I leave. At least I have my mother back home. Some migrants suggested they've been misled to believe that they could be granted asylum immediately and perhaps receive a work permit. Okay, Mr. Castellon, I'm going to add, blame Biden, blame the Democrats, blame George Soros, blame the globalists, blame the idiots. They've always lied to people who are disadvantaged. They've always lied to people who are not white. They've always tried to do this to you. They are the ones at fault. Remember them and punish them politically. Tell all your friends that they're monsters because they are. I continue. Others acknowledge the sheer number of illegal immigrants overwhelming the city has likely depleted resources. Quote, we didn't know things would be this hard, Castellon said. I thought the process was faster, end quote. No, it's not, especially when you break in through the back door. There's portary, and then, now I don't know about this Castellon, but many to most are not following the proper channels. They're just flooding across. City officials reported that Chicago has received more than 19,000 migrants since August 2022. In addition, over 68,000 Chicago citizens are experiencing homelessness. Experiencing homelessness. That's the new turn of phrase, I suppose. You can't say the word midget. You have to say little I can't. Little person.
All right, we're getting sidetracked on this. Okay, go ahead.
All right. Experiencing homelessness is one of those bullshit phrases. I'm experiencing it. he did it to himself. As the migrant crisis grew worse, local leaders began debating Chicago's status as a sanctuary city for migrants. Well, that might be the only positive thing here, Blake, is that the sanctuary city status is being rethought. They say they were spending a lot more money every single day, Ninth Ward Alderman Anthony Beale said during a Chicago City Council meeting in November. I think up to $40 million a month, ladies and gentlemen. Blake, look at these pictures. These people jam-packed in here. It's insanity. Anyway, I'm sensing you want to move on to a different topic, but this is what we're talking about. This is the reason why Mayorkas should be impeached, because he's messing with families like this Castellón. He's messing with our cities. He's destroying our city budgets. It's a complete... It's a mess. It's a total
I get it. So it's interesting to see sanctuary cities being overwhelmed, and now the people are just like, oh, well, this isn't what we wanted to do. So it's pretty bad news. I wouldn't want to get stuck in one of those hellholes either, Chicago or New York or where have you. So
yeah,
we almost moved to
Chicago back in the day.
So
no, it's not. Great American cities need to come back. There's no reason you can't just get rid of the tiny percentage of people that are causing all the problems, put them away for a very long time, and clean up the cities, making places that people want to have businesses, where people want to go visit and spend a weekend and spend some money. There's no place I would want to be less than a large American city like Chicago or San Francisco right now. So Anyway, all right, let's bounce to another topic. You get the point of that story. We shared it on the New American Media. Make sure you're following us on X. It's at American_media_. Next story. Make sure you're following Blake. He's at TV's Blake Walley on Twitter X, and he's at thenextlevelnews.com. Yes, Blake does have a hard out today, so he was trying to hurry the show along. I appreciate that. So let's go to story number 2, which I felt could have been story number 1. Blake, agree or disagree that the 15 high school kids that killed a student in Vegas, I believe, should face life in prison? Agree or disagree?
Disagree. It's an awful story.
Disagree.
Yeah, I didn't want to cover it because, it's an awful thing. So it's just terrible. Yeah, bullying. Let me pull up the tweet you sent me. And it is interesting, so we decided to go ahead and cover it because it does. There is an angle here, and there is an agree to disagree question that we can bring up about it. Let's pull it up. How about, where is it? Colin Rugg. Okay, and then we got a double click. All right, here we go. So just in, this is Jonathan Lewis. This is from Colin Rugg on Twitter. It says a teenage boy who was beaten up by 15 students at a high school in Las Vegas, Nevada, has died. And according to Colin, should say throw them all in prison for life. According to the boy's father, the brutal beating happened after 17-year-old Jonathan Lewis stood up for one of his smaller friends. So he did the right thing. He stood up to the bullies, protecting his friend. Then a couple of kids attacked him, and they weren't able to hurt him enough. And then they all attacked him at once. In an emotional interview with the local news station, Lewis's father remembered his son, saying he was a quiet kid, and they had plans to move to Austin. They should have, because Las Vegas and I lived in Vegas for 18 years. It's not a good place to have a normal life or to raise a family. You don't want your kids growing up in a place like that. But it was fun for me to go live and make money in a tourist spot. But it is not a normal place to grow up. Says, I just love my children with all my heart. It's unimaginable we could ever come to this point. I think there's just a failure of all humanity to recognize that we need to be teaching our youth how to coexist. Lewis had kept his son on life support, hoping for a miracle. And it's devastating. And this is Biden's America. They want to see 15 individual murder trials. Let's see them not brush this under the rug. Colin Rugg wants to make an example of them and wants them all down to prison for life. I disagree with that, though. I don't think that's going to send the right message. I think I don't. Maybe a few of these kids will probably end up in prison for life because they are just not going to be, what would you say? I don't want to say re-educated. rehabilitated. Some of them are probably beyond that, but I don't think making an example. Some of those kids are probably just, you get into that kind of mob mentality and you don't realize the consequences of your action. I don't think that's going to be a deterrent. If you put all 15 of them away in jail for the rest of their lives, I just don't think that other people are going to get the message. Like, you're not going to get teenage boys across the country to go, hey, let's not bully anybody because remember what happened to that, that thing in Vegas. That's just the problem, is that kids don't realize the consequences of their actions until it's too late. And they should absolutely be tried. They will probably be going to jail, juvie, and beyond. And some of them should feel deep remorse. The ones that do should be eventually let out, rehabilitated, re-educated, what have you. Those that are not, those who instigated it, those who might lack that kind of empathy and never be able to get it, may deserve to be held in prison forever. But I don't think just blanket throwing them all in prison for life is going to be good for anybody. So, but it is a terrible tragedy. Make an example of the bad ones and the ones that can't be fixed. And the rest of them hopefully will spend the rest of their lives in remorse and bettering themselves as humanity and being outspoken, or maybe going to high schools and talking about bullying. But just to throw them all and let them rot in prison forever, I don't think is the right move. But
what about the race angle?
Is there a race angle? I didn't know. Is it
15 black kids killing a white kid?
Okay.
If this were the opposite, Blake.
Yeah.
Tell me what MSNBC and CNN would be doing nonstop for 6 months. Tell me about the riots nationwide that BLM would piggyback off of and squeeze to get blood from a turnip, blood from a stone.
Oh, it's disgusting. I condemn MSNBC and all of the hacks, flacks, and lackeys that would be talking about this nonstop as a massive hate crime. And of course, they probably won't even mention this story at all. Even that the black hockey player who is manslaughter of the white player in that game in England. They still won't mention his name or mention the fact that he's black. So not that it should be, emphasized or that it's got to be some kind of hate crime. It wasn't. It was just a thug hockey player who played dirty and went too far and should be punished for a long time. And the media should at least mention it. They don't have to make it a big race issue, because I don't think that played into it. But if it does out here, yeah, they need to start doing better with our culture, because it's poisoning. And yes, it is Obama's America. It was not the great uniter that he could have been. He was the great divider, and the media plays a big part in this. And this is really horrific and awful, which is why I try to avoid stories like this. But I guess there's the angle of, do they deserve prison and life? And I think that is a good agree or disagree question. This culture is toxic, and we seem to be fascinated by trying to throw our other people in a cage for life, or having them killed or what have you. I think the savagery's got to stop. But I don't know, Brian, what do you think? I could be wrong. And for anybody else in the chat, what do you think? Am I wrong? Agree or disagree? Should they be in jail, all of them, for life? Or do you just get caught up in the mob mentality in the moment, and maybe you don't realize that, oh my God, this kid he's going to be dead. And then after you realize it, you should feel that empathy and go, oh my God, what just happened? And why didn't I stop?
Yeah.
Why didn't I do anything? I don't know. That's going to haunt people, but I don't think life in prison is the solution. So.
Yeah, you're wrong.
Okay.
The people that do stuff like this, no.
Even if they're 15, 16, 17 years old? You think all 15 of them
killed a classmate?
Right. But is that going to do anything for them? What if those people feel deep remorse?
It's going to keep them off the streets doing it to other people, Blake.
Well, yeah, you find the ones that are bad and you leave them there.
There's 15 of them. We found them.
Right. You think all 15 of them are just irredeemable?
Put them away.
For life.
Forever. Goodbye.
Wow. Okay.
So, by the way, you brought up a
disagree on
story
that.
that I did
Yeah.
not happen to get the update on. Let me play this here. You reference this.
Yeah.
An arrest has been made in connection with the death of a professional hockey player in the United Kingdom last month. 29-year-old Adam Johnson from Minnesota was gravely injured when a skate blade cut during a game on October 28th. He later died at the hospital. Authorities say an unnamed man was arrested and charged with manslaughter. In a statement, South Yorkshire police detective said, quote, "We know these communities will expect us to handle this investigation with the same professionalism, fairness, and sensitivity as any other, and request that members of
The heck? Why does it say unnamed man?
I know. It's weird. They won't mention his name or his race. They're like trying to hide that. But that just makes it worse. The fact that they're just dancing around that issue. Not that it should be, again, I don't think his race played anything to do with this.
and
He just happens to be a black
which
man,
could
but
hinder
why won't
this
they
process.
say that? Because if it was
In
a white
response
on
to this
black, it
incident,
would be
several
a double standard.
NHL hockey players, including Blackhawks defenseman Wyatt Kaiser, have begun wearing protective neck guards.
Did you catch that last part? They said that this guy's wearing protective.
Kaiser have begun wearing protective neck guards.
But then they hang
That's
on.
going to be mandatory
Several
equipment. I
NHL
think.
hockey players, including Blackhawks defenseman Wyatt Kaiser, have begun.
Wyatt Kaiser. That's the Blackhawks defenseman. It should be called the unnamed Hawks instead of the Chicago Blackhawks. You can't say what man. You can't say any colors. Yeah, they're going out of their way to not identify the guy that jump kicked, did a Bruce Lee kick into the throat of another player. They're covering his name up, just like they're covering up the fact that it was 15 black kids that just threw a tiny little, I think it was a tiny little white kid, into a trash can and stole his stuff. And this guy comes up and says, yeah, give it back. Stop it. And they kill the next guy and they're covering that up. Hey, okay, so this is man arrested. Hey, I'm having a blast reading these and seeing these reports. This is stunning.
Under suspicion of manslaughter following the death of pro hockey player Adam Johnson. Johnson died after his neck was cut by an opponent's skate blade during a game last month.
An opponent? Name the opponent.
Police in South Yorkshire, where the incident occurred, have not named the person in custody. The player whose skate cut Johnson's neck, though, was Matt Petgrave, who plays for Sheffield. Johnson's death has sparked debate in the hockey world surrounding the use of neck guards, which are currently not mandated in the NHL.
You know, and it's so stupid. Okay, Matt Petgrave, finally, this one. Why in the world did they not name the person that's on video doing a Bruce Lee jump kick into the jugular? And then it says, oh, it sparked debate about wearing neck guards. No, it sparked debate about not jump kicking somebody with a razor blade attached to your fucking foot. My God, I just can't make sense of these stories, man. That they will bend over backward to not tell you what's happening. Anyway, thank you for bringing that up because I'm going, I haven't seen an update. I run the Unhappy Hour Sports Show, a support group, every day. I'm sharing content and looking for stories all day long. I have not heard an update on this. Until you reminded me to look, nobody's talking about it. They won't even say his name. Oh, but they'll say her name, Breonna Taylor. They'll say her name just fine if you shoot at cops. They'll say her name all day. LeBron James will be out there saying her name. But they'll arrest the guy that jump kicks and slices a jugular, kills him on the rink, but they won't say his name.
Yeah, that's the Obama's America now. So it's a double standard, and you're not allowed to say the obvious. Yeah, it's a horrible tragedy. Another one. So.
Yeah, Jocelyn says, okay, only if the media hyped all races in their headlines. Let's imagine it. White student murdered by 15 black youths, but the headline was student dies after being attacked. Blake, the only way you keep society safe is you take the monsters off the streets. They had
how many of those are monsters, Brian? That's the
because
thing.
they murdered a kid that tried to stand up for the other kid that they threw into a fucking trash can. And it was
why not
a mob
throw them all
of
into
15
juvie?
against one.
Right. Okay, so throw them all in juvie and then figure out psychologically which ones are redeemable and which ones aren't. The ones that aren't stay in jail until forever.
How do you do that? How do you do that? My plan
On
is
a
put them
case
all
by
in the
case
jail forever.
basis, Brian. How do you don't even know any of these kids? You don't know where they're from. You don't know the situation, but you're just going to say judge, jury, executioner. All 15 go to jail for the rest of their lives.
15 humans destroyed another human after abusing another human.
Right.
Yeah, they're the monsters that we're supposed to protect society from.
Okay.
How are we supposed to pick and choose? Well,
if they were 15 like adults, if it was like a gang somewhere, yeah, or they're probably already irredeemable gone.
That was absolutely a gang of kids.
Yeah, a gang of kids that don't know, they're not even developed adults yet.
I don't know the ages of them. I know we keep saying 15, but that doesn't
they're in
mean
high school. They're 15, 16, 17, 18 maybe, yeah. So it's going to have to go on a case-by-case basis, unfortunately, but that's what it is. And yeah, MJ Sedona, we've become a bloodthirsty nation. Yeah, Brian's ready to just throw away the key. Just because they were participant, we don't know.
Vegas from these people.
Right.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Protect Las Vegas from more kids being senselessly murdered at school.
Yeah, but you think that it's going to deter anybody else? That this, again,
it'll make sure these 15 don't kill again.
Age. You didn't realize, yes, sometimes you have to make mistakes in order to learn from them. And that is a awful thing to have to deal with. But then to just absolutely destroy their lives completely. They got to live in a cage and live in hell for that awful tragedy. No, I don't think
it's not a tragedy. It's a murder. It's not, you know, I don't know. What would a tragedy be? My dog got off the leash and ran out into traffic and oh my gosh, somebody hit it with it. It was such an accident. Oh my gosh, I have to buy a better leash. I turned around for a second to pick up a package off my front porch. I can't believe I actually saw a video of that. Some drunk lady with her baby. I swear social media is just turning into snuff films, but she set her baby, 2 or 3 or 4-year-old or something down, and she fell down and just sat there, and the kid walked out in the trash. I turned it before the child was killed. That was a tragedy because the mom did that to the kid. It was a tragedy that the kid didn't know any better. I can't look at 15 people intentionally throwing one kid in the trash and then attacking the other person that stands up for him and killing him. That's not a tragedy. That's a monstrous act. That is. These are the people you have to protect society from. The ones that will kill a student after throwing the other in the trash can after he tries to defend himself and get his stuff back after he's been robbed and abused and thrown into a trash. Like, these are perpetual.
Okay, let's say you throw them all in jail. What about 8 years from now? And let's say 5 of them have completely redeemed it. Like, oh my God, I didn't know. I was just a teenager. I was just going along with my friends. I didn't know he was going to die. I didn't know it was that bad. I wanted to stop. I wish to God I had said something or done something. I just want to, help and make sure that doesn't happen again. But now I'm going to be in jail for the rest of my life. Brian's going to be like, good, you deserve it. Yeah.
Yeah, right? I want to protect the decent parts of society.
Is that going to deter?
It's going to deter the 15 that murdered that kid. They will be deterred from ever killing again. Because they can't, because they'll be behind bars if they don't have the death penalty there. If that were my kid, holy shit, Blake. If that was your nephew or your kid, if that was your cousin, that was attacked, you lived out in Vegas, that could have been your family, that could have been your neighbor.
Yeah, and the really bad ones out of that group deserve to go, stay in jail because they're irredeemable. There are people like that are just sociopathic, have no understanding, no empathy, and those of the few should be locked up forever because they are a danger to society. But those that went along with it, didn't realize how bad it was going to be. Yeah, I think they should have a chance to get out. Absolutely. And they should go speak in high schools and talk about, consequences of actions and prevent those kind of things from happening. That's the way I would do it. But maybe I'm foolish. I don't know, whatever. But I'll agree to disagree on that one.
We can agree to disagree on that. Jocelyn says, imagine giving a standing ovation to someone because they killed another man. Were they wearing their Hamas scarves? She says they need to do something, and that will teach them responsibility for their actions. I haven't reviewed all of the footage. I really dislike having to watch snuff films in the palm of my hand all the time. It's like this was not something. Do we react to music? I have a YouTube channel called I Like YouTube Just Fine. It's yet another offshoot. It's something I do personally. It's I like the letter U, tube, just fine. And I do music reactions. I haven't for like a year, though. I need to get back to doing them.
We have a music reaction video from Harry Mack. We did one video. And Brian, I would love to not have to talk about these awful issues that are, geopolitical, heavy stuff. This is somebody's responding off of Kick, which is one of the newer platforms. When we're here in many parts because YouTube censors a lot of the videos that we've done, so we've had to branch out a little bit. And Kick is probably more for gamers and stuff, but there is news streams, and we're just trying to hit up all the different spots. So yeah, I would prefer to do that and get away from all of the heavy stuff, but that's what's ultimately more important. But yes.
Yeah, Blake and I did react to a Harry Mack improv rap freestyle video. Got a lot of views. Blake was trying to absorb it and trying to understand it, and cut to a flash cut, snap cut to a year later. Blake and I went and saw him live. He's the GOAT, the greatest of all time. But yeah, we will try to do that. Is it a hate crime? Jocelyn asks. I was raised to hear for 30 years that if the races are not the exact same, it's a hate crime. Oh wait, it's only if a white person's involved. It's always against the white person, but never against the other person. I make it make sense. 15 people attacking a kid and beating him to death. That seems pretty hateful to me. So anyway, yeah. Do we do other content? For the love of God, let's try to do some other content. Did you guys hear "Hurt Me" by Tory Lanez? It's fun. No, I didn't.
I don't know if I would be good at doing the music reaction videos. I am a huge music snob. I am a big fan. I love my Spotify. I love my playlists. I am about as musically knowledgeable as anybody who's not an actual musician or in the industry. But yes, more of a snobbery, and I will absolutely shoot down a lot of the pop music. So I think I would make a lot of enemies if I covered a lot of the especially the current music that they have going on these days. I'm not sure who Tory is. It Tory Lanez? I don't even know who that is. But if it's like some R&B soft, K-pop or something, I am absolutely going to destroy it into oblivion, and people will hate me. So
we should, though. Blake, let's put it on our agenda to do some music reaction videos. We'll go on.
Yeah, like a sports show, a music show, and then we'll do like 2 or 3 like hardcore political shows. You agree to disagree?
Cirilla09 is saying it sounds 80s. It's nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Blake remembers some of the 80s.
I do like some, pop music. There are, every once in a while there is like a something I do like, like a little Nas X or something they'll throw, even though he's weird and satanic and stuff, but there are still things that I do like, even some of the pop divas or what have you that just do have like some interesting music. But for the most part, I don't like a lot of the current popular music.
Good point here from Jocelyn saying, is it the parents' fault, society, schools, or do we put the blame squarely where it belongs with the kids? At 15, right from wrong shouldn't be a problem. And it was 15 people. We're not saying they were 15. They could have been 16, 17, 18, or 19, or 20. If these idiots are dumb enough to murder a kid on campus while being filmed, they might have flunked a grade or two. They could be 25 for all we know. But yeah, I don't know the ages involved. But saying this generation will determine our old age. That is deep AF, Jocelyn. This generation will determine our old age, which is why we're trying to connect with Cirilla09 to connect with younger kids, because hey, the amount of BS that's being foisted upon y'all is kind of crazy these days. Jocelyn adds, those kids should be in juvie. They'll get these beatings every day in jail, so be ready. Sorry for the young man and his family. Heartbreaking. Rest in peace. Yes, truly. But yeah, you know what, Blake? Let's do this. Let's go ahead and do some music shows. I really think we should. We should absolutely do it. Some of the reactions I've done and will continue to do. Tom McDonald, Sublime. I want to go through the entire Tool discography. I like doing the Harry Mack Omegle bars, especially because he doesn't claim copyright. So you can actually monetize those. I prefer those. Some other things that I have. Blake, if you could do music reactions, who would you like to do reactions to? Any new music you like?
I would be a terrible candidate for that, and we saw it in the Harry Mack. I took a lot of shit for it, but yeah, it's understandable. I am not a very emotional, extroverted person, so I'm not like excitable and expressive. Like, oh my god, like I'm hearing something and I'm just so overwhelmed by joy or whatever. It doesn't happen. I will keep the same face on 10 completely different songs. And I'll be like, yes. And I'll just break it down logically. Like, I think that was pretty good in what they did there, but you're never going to get that joy from me. So I don't think that would be good. Or it might be just funny in that regard if people are okay with that. The logical breakdown and then the emotional reaction.
Oh, Blake Stoneface over there. Blake
Yep.
Stoneface. That's his wrestler name, or his cowboy name. Yeah. Oliver Anthony, too. I want to react to Oliver Anthony. I do like some of his stuff. But anyhow, thank you for that reminder. Like, that was something that was on my list. I tried to do a week or two ago, and I got sidetracked with something else. But anyway, speaking of sidetracked, we got a few other stories we want to get to today. Make sure you're following Blake. Yeah. He's on Twitter at TV's Blake Walley. Yes, they call it X now. At TV's Blake Walley and The Next Level News. We are the new American media and the Agree to Disagree show. So let's jump into the next topic with a nice 80s theme synced up with that music
All right.
reference. By the way, that reminds me, there was the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction ceremony, and Tom Morello went up there because the rest of the idiots in Rage Against the Machine didn't want to do that. From rest in peace back to talking about a perspective, a potential music show. Very respectful. Is that respectful? I don't know. Was that mockery or was that?
I think it's mockery, but I don't, what are you gonna do? We're covering multiple issues. We're covering hardcore news topics, and then we're covering the comments. So
yeah, and this will drive you crazy if you only focus on the murder all day. So yeah, we're gonna talk about other things. But what was I just saying before I read that comment? I was making a point. Oh, Rage Against the Machine, Tom Morello. He said, blah 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 blah. I'm a super douche, and then he goes, yeah. By the way, go out there and start a paper. And if you're an anarchist, throw a brick. So stupid. These guys in Rage are just so loathable.
They used to be so good. Actually, that would have been to get an a reaction video from me in the early 90s when Rage Against the Machine first came out. Then it probably would have got that expressive emotional response. I love that. I actually won one of their albums on radio.
You do what they told you. Yeah.
Oh, they had several good songs. Yeah, they had a few massive hits. They were absolutely huge. They changed a lot of the music scene back in the early 90s. So they were terrific, and now they've turned into a bunch of like woke activists.
Okay, well, I was going to get to an important story, but if we're talking about woke activists, let's bring up this one, Blake. Agree or disagree that comic Bill Burr is a broken man being henpecked into oblivion? That is a great phrase. Agree or disagree? Comic Bill Burr is a broken man being henpecked into oblivion. If we're talking about activism and people letting it be known where they stand on the political spectrum of all things, we're going from music to comedy now.
Yeah, I like it. And I'm a big Bill Burr fan. Yeah. And yes, I'm going to have to agree on this one. It looks like he's in kind of a broken marriage. I feel kind of bad for him. And I've listened to a lot of his material over the years, and I did get that major vibe. I think everybody has to. I think I was the last one on Red Rock where you just got the word like, if this guy could do it all over again, he probably would not get married. I'm sure he's grateful to have kids, and I get where he's coming from because he was like in his 50s, and he's superstar comedian. He's got all the women and freedom and money, everything. And at some point, you got to you're in your 50s, you got to oh, maybe I should finally like adult up. I'll get married. I'll have kids. I'll go through that experience. But if you pick the wrong one, man, it can really be a setback on your life. And it appears, unfortunately, that he has picked wrong. And this lady is pretty toxic. And so she got, so, you know, I didn't really think about it a whole lot, but it became apparent over the weekend when she was caught at the UFC giving the double middle finger to Donald Trump. And Bill Burr didn't even seem to notice, but it seems like, yeah, he's just totally whipped. And he does not is as happy with his life as he could be, although now he knows why. So, yes, he could have been the perpetual bachelor, and he's probably regretting his decision. Let's pull up a couple of stories on that. I know Cernovich pulled it out. I think I took kind of a composite for this question. Let's pull this up. So we got Cernovich saying Bill Burr has memorable bits. No one else like him. His Golden Era Monday morning podcasts were unbeatable. Yeah, he did do some pretty good podcasts. He says, I'm not offended. Big Mike flipped off Trump. I've said worse about the issue is Bill's comedy is full of pain. That's why it lands. Now we know the source and we feel pity.
Okay, hold on. Real quick. Did I hear Big Mike flipped off Trump? What was that?
Yeah, I don't quite get where that was coming from either. Yeah, it's weird. He's like comparing it to Michelle Obama. She's kind of a big girl, or at least she's put on some weight, or it seems like it. I can show you another tab. Yeah, she's not... This is from Chrissy Mayer, who's saying our culture and media made it not just fashionable to disrespect Trump, but actually a prerequisite for success and opportunities in Hollywood, which is the world they live in. To Hollywood, it makes her edgy and cool to give Trump the finger, but to the majority of the country, it makes her trash. And I kind of thought that was pretty trashy. It says that there's no excuse for her to be this fat. I mean, I don't know when this picture was taken. Maybe she was pregnant. I don't know how many kids he's got, if it's just one or two, but, you know, a side issue. But, and Brian, do you know what this means? I see a lot of these photos kind of showing like who's in.
I guess that looks like body language, that she's leaning away and he's leaning in. Is that what I'm looking at?
Yeah, it's something like that. I've seen a few of these photos that do, or is it the man is supposed to stand up rigid or something? Or is that he's leaning in? I'm not entirely sure how the body language works, but we'll go back here. So Bill Burr's comedic bits about being henpecked were funny until last night. That really is his life. He's not doing jokes. He's doing a spoken word cry for help. And then we see Anthony Cumia. I've got this because there was a video from Paul Joseph Watson who shared this tweet, who also kind of called him out for being cucked. We're saying, I certainly learned what an overbearing POS this woman was years ago, and she made Bill cut all ties with me. And I remember I listened to a lot of Opie and Anthony back in the day, like, God, 15, 20 years ago. And Opie wasn't that funny, and sometimes they would bring in comedians. Jim Norton was outstanding, and it was an excellent show. And then sometimes when he wasn't, they would always bring in a comedian, and Bill Burr was one of the people that was a frequent guest. And he said, don't be fooled by the tough guy persona. This woman runs every aspect of his life. Notice how his comedy has changed since he has been with her. And this is the picture of her flicking off Trump. And there's poor Bill Burr just kind of looking off to the side. He's a broken man, as I said. Here's another tweet from Cumia, said from Chrissy Mayer, saying she's been blocked. She said, I never met Bill Burr's wife. I've never talked to her. I've never mentioned her. But apparently she blocked him. And she ruined, their friendship with Anthony Cumia. You're connected to me, so you had to go. So I guess that's why Chrissy Mayer would not allow Bill Burr to have his friendship anymore. And she's a racist, vindictive, miserable, failed actress. I don't know too much about that, but I know she is an actress and she's a producer and what have you. But it just seems like, yeah, she's miserable and toxic. And Bill Burr is maybe the number one comedian these days. I don't know. He's still kind of on the edge of his prime, but yeah, you've seen a change in his comedy, and you've seen. I remember very specifically mentioning many times just about his new life with the wife and kid, and he doesn't sound that enthused. I'm sure he would like to get out of that, and I don't know if he got a prenup or what, but he might want to consider going single again. I wouldn't want to, just have to be stuck in that toxic relationship if he can get out of it. But
and he just released a new movie called like Old Dads or something. I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's about being an old dad.
Yeah, which is fine because he was late to the game. Yeah, he was really enjoying his bachelorship, but he didn't want to do it forever. I get it, but it doesn't sound like it's a happy marriage anymore. Or maybe it's happy for her because she's got look at all she gained out of it. She gets half his wealth, she gets the fame, but she gets to hide in the background and just control his life. Well, now she's not in the background anymore. She put herself out there, and now she should explain herself. I'd like to see that.
To paraphrase, I think it was Scott Adams put out on X. He said, "What do you think that conversation was like on the ride home or the next day? Hey, thanks a lot. You probably just cost me 40% of my future earnings." Like half the country, loves President Trump, and to just. It's the question was, is it like that she was doing it, or was she doing it like representing their team? Was she flicking off Trump, or was she flicking off people that like Trump?
I mean, it could be both, but I mean, it's cowardly. I mean, look at the privilege she got. Look, she got to marry Bill Burr, maybe the greatest comedian living right now, or one of the top 5. And she's got all that money. She's got front row seats at the UFC, all the fame, all the glory, everything she could ever want. And then she's just going to sit there, and it looks like she's making Bill Burr miserable. And then she's going to make a big spectacle like that and it flick off the president. Like, you got everything in your life going for you. And it's no class. It's sad to see.
Let me ask you this. Let's say we're at, okay, UFC is a Republican or a conservative or a MAGA type crowd. What would be like a left-wing type crowd? A tennis match or a theater event or something? Like where would a bunch of libs gather?
That's a very good question, Brian. Offhand, I really don't know.
So put it in the comments if you can suggest, I don't know, a golf outing, or I don't know, where would the lefties hang out? But let's imagine
baseball, I don't know.
Let's imagine the equivalent to that. So let's imagine it's not Trump, but it's Obama. Let's say instead of Tucker, it's Keith Olbermann. Let's say instead of Kid Rock, it's who's the most insufferable lefty musician?
Tom Morello or something. I don't know.
Tom Morello. Yeah, but I mean, even worse, like shriekier, shriller, terrible lefty music. God, there's so many. I mean, I know Taylor Swift is like all, she hates Trump, but who else was there? Dana White, Harvey Weinstein. Okay, let's put Harvey Weinstein up there running Hollywood. Tom Morello or somebody like, if they were walking past and you were at an event, could you imagine tossing some middle fingers up there at Keith Olbermann and Barack Hussein Obama, Hillary Clinton, and they're walking out like, hey, look at us, we're so cool, and you're like, you're the opposite of cool. You are the worst. Could you imagine tossing some double digits up there? I'm trying to play a little devil's advocate here, because if my 4 or 5 most disliked humans walked in front of me and people are cheering them, I might be the contrarian. I could envision if Rosie O'Donnell was walking down there with Keith Olbermann, all these other hacks, and Colbert and Harvey Weinstein.
Let's say it's like Taylor Swift, and she's taking you to this major event. She has funded it. You got front row seats at this huge sporting event, and Hillary Clinton happens to be there. Are you really going to be like, just give her the finger? Or are you going to be like, oh, she's not that good, but I'm just so happy to be here. I'm with Taylor Swift.
Would you make a spectacle out of yourself? But I don't know that Bill Burr likes President Trump. I've heard him talk enough. He says a couple things, but I don't think he likes Trump, or he likes Trump, but he's not allowed to say it. I do get that sense that he's it's like the hostage video. He's like, blink twice if you're under duress. I definitely get that vibe from Bill Burr, that like he's not allowed to say that he likes Trump. Same with Chappelle. I definitely hear Chappelle say things and then have to walk it back. Like, I can't say that I like him. I can sort of, as long as I walk it back and say 2 negative things.
Yeah,
I don't know.
To an extent. And yes, Bill Burr has mentioned that in an interview, like he runs a lot of his material now through her.
Oh boy.
Filter it. So yes, it does soften it up a little bit. I'm surprised she allowed any of the criticism, even though it was somewhat indirect. But he's clearly not happy anymore. But I mean, he had to get a taste of that. He had to have that experience. And yes, he's got a kid or 2 that he can keep. But if he can walk away with more than half of his money or whatever, then maybe he could consider that. I don't know. What would you rather do? I don't know for his prenup status. I don't know how that went through. But he's got a succubus who is toxic and dragging his life down. And it's not good. And yes, she made a spectacle, but she did it to herself. And I think she should be the one that explains that. Why did you do that? And what is so unhappy about your life that you were going to do this to Bill Burr and flick off Trump in front of everybody? So.
All right. Well, any final thoughts on that? Because I got another story about an angry lady.
Yes, we are on Twitch too. We're on a few of these other platforms. They just stream. We don't, do a whole lot there, but there is always something going on. I don't know if it keeps the archive, but we're there, and we're also on D Live, and yes, YouTube. Hopefully, Rumble soon, and hopefully, Pilled soon. That would be another good archive. But yes, on all the platforms, because we can never trust YouTube.
Yeah, Rumble, the New American Media, Odyssey is the backup to the YouTube channel. Blake's the Next Level News. But yeah, the Agree to Disagree show is this one. Jocelyn says, right, Blake, maybe this just gives him more material, but what do I know? Yeah, it's going to give some material. Has he addressed it? Has he addressed it?
I don't think so. We could find him on Twitter, but I don't think he has said anything about it specifically yet. He's got to be very, very careful on how he presents that. But I would bet that he probably comes out with like a video. I don't think you can summarize everything in one tweet. Brutal. I think you got to make some kind of a short video about it.
Freaking brutal. I like Tyler Fisher's impression of Bill Burr. It's hilarious. Jocelyn says, I know this will be a bit in his next special, and it'll make people laugh. I don't know how you can not have this as a bit in your next special. But, okay, so this is one lady who's voicing her opinions, and it's met with a little bit of backlash, to another lady who's addressing some opinions, and it might be met with a little bit of backlash. This is what next story is about. Candace Owens. All right. So clearly the topic we need to bring up that's more important is the one about government surveillance, about online hate speech. Okay, that needs to be up there as well as the San Francisco one. But this kind of connected with the other one, and we're kind of going with the flow here, mixing and matching. Yeah. Blake, agree or disagree that Candace Owens is being disgraceful for putting America first?
I will disagree. We always have to put America first.
Always.
And I appreciate... And I respect Candace Owens for, having the guts. Can't say the balls.
Biting the hand that feeds.
Yeah, as a paid employee of the Daily Wire, being critical of some of the things coming from Ben Shapiro.
Or Little Benny Boy, as you call him.
Little Benny Boy, BB's bitch. Sorry, that's a little bit over the top. But yeah, he kind of is. So got to call it like I see it. But yes, he is. Here's Benny Boy. He's Israel first, and he's getting a lot of pushback these days, and I'm glad to see it. Not that I have some personal vendetta against him. He's always been kind of polar opposite of how I see things politically. And yeah. But it's time.
You've always been against Benny. You've always kind of been against Benny. like
Yeah, for
always.
the most part, he's somebody I frequently disagree with, and he's put out a lot. He's always the never Trumper, or calling people dopes for not taking the jab.
On those 2 points, I agree. On the jab and the Trump thing, I completely agree with you.
And then just being completely 100%, yes, he seems to be pro-Israel before he's pro-America. I think that's a valid criticism. And there's been many other things as well over the years. Somebody who is very much somebody I disagree with on a lot of things. I'd love to debate Benny Boy one of these days. He usually just debates like college kids or something, as smart as he is, but we'll see. So let's see. Do I have this article pulled up? Yes, I do. So Ben Shapiro labels Candace Owens disgraceful for taking an America First position on the Israel-Gaza war. He's absolutely furious with Candace Owens and not advocating for America to fight Israel's wars. Even though Owens is on the Daily Wire's payroll, Shapiro lashed out at her during an event on Monday night for her absolutely disgraceful behavior during the war. I'm going to pull up another one of these tweets here from Don Luker, the breaker of narratives. Ben Shapiro told us all to stop emoting for years, just for him to go crying about Candace Owens. I hate to say it, but it looks like Ben is perfectly fine with enforcing his beliefs while canceling anyone that has their own. And there's another valid criticism of Benny Boy is that, yes, he's always against cancel culture, but unless people are, critical of Israel, then they deserve to be canceled. So that's another more hypocrisy coming from him. So it makes all those videos when he attacked culture come back into perspective. Maybe Ben was always mad he had never been represented. I don't know, but there's no way he would beat Candace Owens in a debate, and I'll bet every dollar I'll ever make on that. I'd love to see that. I hope that comes to fruition.
Whose words are we reading here?
This is Dom Luker. You sent me a couple of his tweets earlier.
This guy came out of nowhere. He's just firing shots all day.
Yeah, he's very good. He's puts out a lot of bangers on X. So here's the video. It's the same video from the article. Let's try to run it.
Yes, the question was about Candace Owens. I think her behavior during this has been disgraceful. Without a doubt, I think it's not
Is this loud enough, or I can try to ring it on here?
It's a little quiet. Is there a text to what's saying? What's being said there?
There.
Okay, we'll try it again.
Some of it's harder to hear just because, there's a loud crowd behind him, and yes,
loud crowd.
Yeah.
Now there's no crowd.
He said it's absolutely disgraceful on the issue.
Oh, now I can't hear anything if it's playing.
You can't hear anything on this?
Zero.
Oh, wow. I don't know what's happening. You heard this one, though?
Yes.
I heard the first one.
The question was about Candace Owens. I think her behavior during this has been disgraceful.
Yeah, I can hear that. It's quiet, but the question is about Candace Owens, her behavior during this administration.
Yeah, towards the Arab-Israeli conflict. So maybe I can just read it. He says, I think her behavior during this conflict has been disgraceful. He said at a Jewish gathering, or not an American gathering, a Jewish gathering, in a video posted on TikTok. So without a doubt, I think it's been absolutely disgraceful. After presumably being asked if he can take her show off the air, Shapiro seems to have said, because it's not entirely clear, yeah, I can't, something that. I think he said pause, but the audio is quite poor. Yeah, I mean, she still works for my company. Or yeah, I mean, she still works for my company, because he's got that really fast-paced cartoon voice. Shapiro continued, I think she's been absolutely disgraceful. I think that her false sophistication on these particular issues has been ridiculous. Everybody can see the moves that she's making and the things that she's saying, and I find them disreputable. So Owens' behavior that Shapiro finds disgraceful has consisted of putting the interest of America first and not going along with Shapiro and Israel's cry bully tactics and social justice warrior style cancel culture campaigns to punish Israel's critics. As the exact same tactics that Shapiro built his whole phony conservative persona off mocking and condemning. So, and she's, I've got to respect Candace Owens for putting that out there, because I was like, Brian, we kind of, entertained or think about, joining perhaps one of these networks, and Daily Wire would be one, except we've been extremely critical of some of the things coming out there from Benny Boy. So I don't think we're going to get invited to the Hanukkah party this year. And I don't know, but I mean, look at Candace. So maybe it is okay to have different points of view on their network. So who knows? But what else can I cover from that? Candace saying no government anywhere has a right to commit a genocide ever. There is no justification for genocide. I can't believe this even needs to be said, or it's considered the least bit controversial to state. So anyway, agrees with an assertion that anti-Semitism is being weaponized in order to silence critics and bully people into compliance. That Charlie Kirk, Elon Musk, and Thomas Massie have recently been smeared as anti-Semites is proof of this charge. And I agree. It's a lot of people. If you're not 100% pro-Israel all the time, a lot of people will be criticized for then you're anti-Semitic. It's the same tactics that the left does. So I agree with her, and I don't like what's going on, but I respect that, and I'd love to see that debate. And since they're both, basically working out of the same building, I think they should make that happen. But speaking of debates, I should also mention this. I guess Dave Smith, comedian, is going to be debating Laura Loomer, who's a proud Zionist, on the Israel-Palestine war. I'm thrilled to be part of the debate series by the great publication that is Zero Hedge, and I'd like to see a lot more of these. I think it's a very interesting that people need to see these different perspectives, and I think it's I'd like to see the Zionists speak for themselves, and also people that are, I don't want to say pro, Palestine or whatever, because a lot of them get smeared as being pro-Hamas, which is disingenuous.
I think it's a lot. In many cases, it's the same exact thing. But
that's not correct, though. And I want to, speaking of that, I want to praise Benny Johnson for actually saying this. Pro-Palestine protesters are gathering outside of Joe Biden's Delaware home. It's not that people are standing up for Hamas. People are, don't like what's going on. It looks like genocide.
More than you think are. More than you think.
I think those people are pretty ignorant. They don't know what they're doing. But I think people
but there's more of them than are being reported.
Right.
That's my only contention. Is that 10% up from 1%? Is that 50% up from 20%? I don't know, but it's a lot. It's probably 10x what people think is. I think a lot of it is just lightly disguised Hamas support, lightly disguised. But anyway, that's a finer point, I suppose. Yeah,
but it's disingenuous to say when people are standing up for pro-Palestine and they're saying, "Hey, we need to stop this murdering and the carpet bombing," but then they say, "Oh, they're pro-Hamas supporters." Like, no, that's not true. That's not fair to say that. So it really diminishes, I think, a lot of the Zionist arguments when they're having to twist these narratives. But anyway,
did you have that one to play, Blake? Were you going to play that clip?
I didn't have that one on my staff. I haven't seen that one. Did you have that one? Does Tyler Fisher?
Oh no, I have this one. I've referenced this guy twice. Just want to play a couple seconds of one of the best impressionists. He does both two of the last three people we talked
Greg
about.
Tragically fell asleep at the wheel and wrapped his car around a telephone pole in a horrible, horrible, painful death. He was exhausted. He had not been sleeping well, and if only mattress, this never would have mattress. Sleep like your life depends on it. Use code RIP Greg for 10% off. Okay, on to things.
Use code RIP Greg for 10% off. This is comedian Tyler.
I like and things that I hate. I hate when my friends are dead. Because of the tragic nature of Greg's death, he had to be cremated. Stop trusting big cremation. And luckily, his wife, Catherine, went to Chris's crematorium. Chris absolutely burns all the off. That's 10% off to burn 100% off of your loved ones. Greg and I had our differences. He was a major libtard. And what better place to put your libtard family members' remains than in a leftist ashes tumbler? Okay, gang, we're gonna go to a quick reaction video. We have the actual footage of Greg crashing his car. I think he was exhausted, mainly because he had watched Barbie the night before. Do not go see that movie. It is terrible. It is a pile of garbage wrapped in dog crap. I will be speaking on the
Leftist ashes tumbler. Oh, God, that's funny. And then this one is the Bill Burr impression from Tyler Fisher, just to keep it light, keep it fun, keep it moving. I can't wait till this guy comes near me. I want to go see Tyler Fisher immensely. I did go see Bill Burr last year when he came around, but this is Tyler Fisher is as a German guy doing a Bill Burr impression. Here we go.
I can't hear it. There is no volume. Oh, it's not on there. Hold on. No, it wasn't on there. Try to run it one more time.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's just him doing the impression so far. He's putting his hair
Bald,
back
and you
because
also
Bill
know
is
when
bald.
you have the right angle right there. The German, and I do impressions and shove schnitzel down my dumb face. It's brutal, freaking brutal. I'm not trying to be a jerk. I'm not. And that's it. It's very easy. Hi, my name is Franz.
Yeah, he's one of the best impressionists out there, and he did two incredible ones. Tyler Fisher, Fischer, one of the best. You were able to hear it the second time, right?
I was. Yeah, I haven't heard that one, but that was very good. He's got another one. I forget, like he's doing like a master class teaching people how to do stand-up comedy from Bill Burr.
Oh yeah,
that's, hilarious.
So good. No, and I'll say I agree with Dreamer Ultra. Yeah, I'm my entire life I've been sick of the turmoil in the Middle East. I can't stand it. Can't stand it.
Yep.
Can't stand it. I'm with Dreamer Ultra.
I also love him.
It was peaceful for a few years. It was peaceful. Just go along with your daily lives, but they refused to do that. And how dare I think that murder in 1500 was something wrong? I can't stand it. So yes, I'm pretty punitive when people do stuff like 15 against 1 and murder a kid at school. When 1,500 are murdered at a music festival, I want extreme retribution, no holds barred, just demolition. I want absolute maximum destruction, payback, vengeance, because that shit is bullshit. I can't stand it.
Well, what if it was done by what if it was actually done by Israel, though? Then how would you feel if that was what if Netanyahu was doing this as a false flag, let the defenses down? We still haven't figured that one out. But then there's the report about the helicopter attack, that you saw all the cars that got destroyed at this music festival, and that clearly was not done by regular gunfire. So it was done, there was helicopters that were out there. They didn't know what even they were shooting at. Now we've got testimonies saying that it was perhaps the IDF. This is a Machiavellian false flag. They're going to go blow it up, blame it on Hamas, and use that as an excuse to go to war. So then, Brian, what would you do then if that was the case? I'm not saying it is, but it certainly would be an interesting twist to this.
Extreme retribution to the people
like
that do stuff like this. The ones that kill Kennedy, the ones that frame President Trump, the ones that 15 against 1 kill a kid at school. Extreme retribution on these monsters.
Yeah, whoever did it should absolutely be condemned. And I want to say I condemn Hamas, but I'm also very skeptical of this man right here, Bibi Netanyahu, who I think is very dangerous and would be willing to kill some of his own citizens if he thought that it would get the world behind him to go destroy his political enemies and set up a distraction, which is one of the reasons I think he doesn't want to have a ceasefire, is because he doesn't want to have an investigation. And that was one of the questions on our stack, and I will present that just because I've only got a few minutes left here. But I believe that we should, absolutely call a ceasefire, call for an investigation before we do any further potential damage over there, whoever did it. And I want to know. I want to know how the defenses got let down. And we'll see and go from there, whether we want to get behind or before we send any more boots on the ground or put any more money in there. I want to make sure that we know the who, what, where, and why. Anyway, because we see stuff like this. Gaza becomes a graveyard for children as civilian death toll hits 10,000. That's pretty horrific. Then you've got Health Ranger saying if Israel wasn't bombing hospitals, refugee camps, and residential buildings, killing 10,000 Palestinians, these protests would not be happening in the USA at all. This is a reaction against genocide, and it's all exactly what the globalist controllers have planned for us all. Chaos and conflict, order out of chaos, then escalation of World War III so the globalists can obliterate the evidence of their 100 years of currency crimes and blah, blah, blah. But to be fair and to play the other side, you've got Gateway Pundit, who's been very pro-Israel, calling out the New York Times, saying the IDF, Israeli Defense Forces, releasing proof of the Hamas tunnel system was under a Gaza hospital. So,
but who didn't believe that? They've been doing that for 40 years. That's well known.
Yeah, but Brian,
to
do you think
everybody.
that maybe they've blown up a hospital that
invited?
didn't have Hamas weapons or tunnels underneath it? Has Israel ever committed a war crime, do you think? Or has every single hospital they've ever blown up always been some kind of Hamas headquarters? So we can go both ways.
I think the Hamas tactics are
But
pretty clear.
Brian's also 100% pro-Israel without apology. No comment. I know. All right. Brian's
They were at a music
terrified.
festival and got
Brian is
slaughtered.
terrified of criticizing
No,
Israel and getting kicked out of the conservative cult that is 100% pro-Israel all the time, no matter what. And if you disagree, you're anti-Semitic.
No, but I'm glad you did
All
play
right.
that one. That you did show that story because they just like the Taliban. They hide in the mosques. They hide at the orphanage. Oh, you can't shoot me here. Can't shoot me here. You're at the playground and the kids running around punching people in the face. And when someone finally stands up and chases them, they run and hide behind the teacher. Ceasefire, ceasefire, ceasefire. Piss off. Like I hate these tactics and these like enough is enough. Enough is enough. So yeah.
All right, fair enough.
Anyway.
Well, I got like
more
right.
investigation.
Well, I got like 2 minutes, and we didn't even get into some of the bigger stuff.
Agree or disagree that we need more government surveillance of online hate speech?
I'm going to say absolutely not. That is a major slippery slope, obviously, and that's from the hideous Kathy Hochul, governor of New York, announcing surveillance efforts to monitor hate speech online. Oh, we didn't pull this one up here. Okay. Administration to contact users. Yeah, people are being extremely violent. They should probably know something, but this is you're giving too much power to a corrupt government, and that could be very bad news. James Woods saying this is why we have the Second Amendment starter kit. As Kathy Hochul announced, New York's collecting data from surveillance efforts on social media. Then, of course, we've got the Klaus Schwab, yes, the World Economic Forum, which would love to have that. In the new world, you have to accept total transparency. It will become integrated. It will become integrated into your personality. We've got Brian, you got a tweet here talking about the Great Reset and you will die with nothing. I think, people like Klaus Schwab's and Kathy Hochul, maybe they should be under some kind of surveillance as well. Perhaps.
Why are we not arresting Klaus Schwab?
That's a good question, Brian.
The theory is that the WEF is the front group for the people that are really pulling the strings. And that we're just at the top of the pyramid there. We've just about figured it out.
Yeah, that's definitely.
But they're threats to the sovereignty of the nation and the world. Final topic, Blake. We should clean up our city streets regardless of who's visiting.
That was our thumbnail. We didn't even get into it yet, but here it is. Let me pull this one up. Yeah.
When is Xi Jinping? When is he visiting? Is that now?
I think it already happened.
When is
so
that?
San Francisco accused of displacing homeless and cleaning up drug areas ahead of APEC summit. And I was in San Francisco in 2018, and it is horrific. The homeless situation is so out of control. It feels like when you're walking on the streets, like you're invading their space. And in a way, you kind of are.
Human shit on the sidewalk right in front of the courthouse.
Yeah. It's amazing how they get away with it. But then once a big foreign leader comes in, like Xi Jinping. Of course, they do the same thing in China. If you were going to go visit there, they have obviously major problems with homelessness and what have you, and decay and drug use.
They do the same thing for every Olympics. Whenever the Olympics comes to any town, they do
Yeah,
the
so
same
why
thing.
can't they do if it's so easy to do? Yeah,
it all
why
the
not?
time.
That, how refreshing would that be? Clean for thee, but
my
not for
gosh.
thee. Democrats hastily clean up San Francisco ahead of the communist dictator of China visiting. So it's pretty disgusting.
And that Gavin Newsom is the one who's trying to play international deal maker. For what reason is the governor of California going to China and having China come to him? That's the person that they're going to try to prop up and run for president against Trump in 2024 when Biden is not going to be able to do it for a number of reasons. Right. I have my theories on what they're going to do to him. Probably wag the dog. Yep. is my
But Brian, it's been a pleasure, but I do have to go. It is my time. The only thing else I had was just the Biden saying climate change is the ultimate threat to humanity, which maybe in a way it could be, but it's not because of man-made global warming. I want to make that distinction. That's really all I had to say on that, was just to be controversial. Yes, one volcano. We got some major problems, Iceland or what have you. All it takes is a major earthquake or a volcano to reset things, or a major solar flare. That's going to be climate change, ice age, all kinds of things. But to blame it on man and then just to act like they've got to put the World Economic Forum in charge, or the UN Agenda 2030 and control everything, is not because of us. It's a lot of things can happen. This Earth has been around for 4.5 billion years, and our society has only been around for a few thousand of that. That's worth talking about. So it could get reset at any time. But anyway,
if they just taxed us more, we could fix the Earth, right?
Yeah.
If they could just tax us more, we could prevent solar flares like Mr. Burn blotting out the sun. Get out of here.
All right, guys.
Okay, Blake.
I gotta go. Thank you so much,
sir.
everybody. Looking forward to it again Thursday. Good job, Brian. Talk to you guys next time. Take care. I'm out.
Thank you, Blake. Follow him on Twitter. He's at TV's Blake Walley, and his site is called thenextlevelnews.com. Dreamer Ultra says that story is disgusting. Again, slapping the residents' faces with the irony of this sanitization. Yes. It's just absurd. Jocelyn saying she heard that the homeless have taken over a campground near Redwood City. Yes. There was also a huge fire in Los Angeles. This is right where I used to live. Broke into an old apartment. Okay. This is from KCRA. All right, wait a minute. In LA, isn't it called KCLA? Fire damage Los Angeles freeway to take 3 to 5 weeks to repair. Look at terrible sight. Let's see the report here. You're just going to give me ads. I guess I won't play the report. A stretch of Interstate 10 in Los Angeles was seriously damaged in an act of arson. It does not need to be demolished, allegedly, and can be repaired in a little over a month. Make it 3 or 4 months. Gavin Newsom announced the finding after analysis of core samples taken from the freeway. It's a vital artery that hundreds of thousands of vehicles use daily. Oh, could you imagine trying to navigate Los Angeles without the 10? Oh, my God. About 100 columns were damaged in the Saturday fire. Started by arson. No arrests were made. Investigation ongoing. I don't want to see that 5-week mark hit. Yeah, mark it. It's going to be 9 weeks minimum. If more than one person was involved. All right, so here's the story. Can I full screen this? Is that going to... Oh, there we go. Yeah, because I saw some really bad pictures of it. Oh, is it not playing? Doggone it. Wow, this segment sucks. A pallet storage yard. There's a scene in the movie Basketball. That's Trey Parker and Matt Stone, where the fans get really upset and they start throwing objects at the players. And I think like Bert, who was it? Al Michaels or somebody was like, and who would have thought that this could happen on Dozen Egg Night? Making the joke that like every fan that walked in was given a dozen eggs, and then they're shocked to learn that they had eggs thrown at them when they played poorly. They had a pallet storage yard, a tinder box sitting right there with the homeless encampment underneath the friggin' main artery of the city. Wow. Is this still not playing for you? Oh, good.
Or take public transportation. But Lisa, as a lot of people know, that is a busy thoroughfare through downtown LA.
It really is. And 300,000 vehicles typically travel that section of the 10 every day. Federal officials say the closure is expected to be felt well beyond the city of Los Angeles. They warn it could possibly slow down the transport of goods from the ports of Los Angeles and Long Beach.
God. That's exactly what I would do if I were invading a country. I'm so sorry about that segment. It was supposed to be, I was looking at the screen. I thought it was sharing the screen, and then it didn't. And then it didn't again. Let me close this. If I flooded the country with 10 million illegals, and if I wanted to shut the power down and see an invasion, kind of like we saw in Israel, and if I were one of the bad guys trying to do something like that, wouldn't it be great to shut down the main freeway that takes all of the port of Los Angeles goods east? Now the main artery is clogged and you can't move anything. What if this happened nationwide? Your ports up in Seattle and Portland, San Diego, San Francisco, all up and down the East Coast, New York, Jersey, the Carolinas, Florida. You know, just set a fire. Have a little explosion for just the main routes. Then nothing's coming or going from your ports. Then the power goes out. Then the 10 million sleeper cells get activated. Goodness. Jocelyn, thank you for joining us. We'll see you Thursday. She says she has a friend who travels the 10 every day, and it took her 3 hours to get to work yesterday. Today she took the train. Oh, goodness. Yeah, don't worry. The homeless will be able to return after Newsom's boss goes home. Newsom's boss. China. Anyway. May we live in interesting times, folks. Get prepared. Water filtration, tools, devices, self-defense devices, and learn how to use them. Ammo and canned goods, food that can store. Get yourself prepared a little bit. Imagine the world changes and you can't go do anything or get anything for a couple of weeks or a couple of months. Are you stocked up on medicines and the things that you would imagine needing? Just do that. I beg of you to just be prepared. Always be prepared. This is the result of me being a Boy Scout. What is it? How was it? 3 fingers you held up? I don't know. It's been so long since I did that. But yeah, it was always be prepared was the motto of the Boy Scouts. So be prepared out there. Thank you so much for everyone joining us. Special thanks to Blake Walley. But yes, we are the Agree to Disagree show. So find us on all the platforms. Subscribe. Spotify, just really quick, take 20 seconds, go to Spotify, The Agree to Disagree Show, subscribe to it. Because if we're shut down on some of these other places, we're still going to put out content. YouTube.com/The New American Media. 6,300 subscribers, millions of views, 1,300 videos. Subscribe to that. And we're on Odyssey, The New American Media. It mirrors every one of our videos that goes up on YouTube over to Odyssey. Rumble is the backup to the YouTube channel. It's The New American Media over there. And on Telegram, we are TNAM and TNAM Chat. TNAM for The New American Media. So follow us in all the places, people. And X at American_media_. That's all I have for now. We will see you on Thursday. We appreciate you. We love you. Special thanks to Blake Walley and all of you in the chat room that made today's show extra fun, especially new people on Twitch. Victor and Jocelyn and all of you. You make the show so much better. We'll talk to you later.